Native Americans, homes and dwellings. Native Americans lived in a wide variety of homes. Different tribes and peoples built different types of homes. What kind of homes they lived in depended on the materials that they had available where they lived. It also depended on the kind of lifestyle that they lived as well as the environment. The teepee was easy to pack up and move by unknown. Lifestyle. Some tribes were nomads. This meant that the entire village would travel from place to place. This was common for tribes living in the Great Plains, where they hunted for buffalo for food. The tribe would follow the large buffalo herds as they roamed the plains. These tribes built homes that were easy to move and build. They were called teepees. Other tribes lived in one place for a long time. This was because they had water and food nearby. These tribes built more permanent homes like the pueblo or longhouse. Some of the main types of homes were the longhouse, the wigwam, the hogan, and the teepee. Longhouse. The longhouse was a type of home built by the American Indians in the Northeast, particularly those of the Iroquois Nation. Another name for the Iroquois was Haudenosaunee, which meant people of the longhouses. Longhouses were permanent homes built from wood and bark. They get their name because they were built in the shape of a long rectangle. Usually they were around 80 feet long and 18 feet wide. They had holes in the roof to allow for the smoke from fires to escape, and a door at each end. To build the longhouse home, tall poles from trees were used to frame in the sides. At the top, the natives used curved poles to build the roof. The roof and sides were then covered with overlapping pieces of bark, like shingles. This helped to keep the rain and wind out of their homes. A large village would have several longhouses built inside a wooden fence called a palisade. Each longhouse was home to a number of people in a group called a clan. Perhaps 20 or more people called a single longhouse home. Wigwam. Wigwams were homes built by the Algonquin tribes of American Indians living in the Northeast. They were built from trees and bark similar to the longhouse, but were much smaller and easier to construct. Wigwams used poles from trees that would be bent and tied together to make a dome-shaped home. The outside of the home would be covered with bark or other material that was available where the natives lived. The frames were not portable, like the teepee, but sometimes the coverings could be moved when the tribe moved. Wigwams were relatively small homes that formed a circle around 15 feet wide. However, these homes still sometimes housed more than just one Native American family. It was a pretty tight squeeze, but probably helped keep them warm in the winter. A home similar to the wigwam was the wickiup, which was built by some tribes in the West. Hogan. The hogan was the home built by the Navajo people of the Southwest. They used wooden poles for the frame and then covered it in adobe clay mixed with grass. It was generally built in a dome shape with the door facing east toward the sunrise. There was also a hole in the roof for the smoke of the fire to escape. Navajo Hogan Home by unknown. Teepee. Teepees were the homes of the nomadic tribes of the Great Plains. A teepee was built using a number of long poles as the frame. The poles were tied together at the top and spread out at the bottom to make an upside-down cone shape. Then the outside was wrapped with a large covering made of buffalo hide. When the tribe arrived at a new spot, the women of each family would set up and build the teepee. Building a teepee was a very efficient and typically only took around 30 minutes to set up. In the summer, the covering would be raised to allow for a large gap at the bottom. This gap enabled cool air to flow through the teepee and keep the inside cooled. In the winter, additional coverings and insulation such as grass were used to help keep the teepee warm. In the center of the teepee, a fire would be built. There was a hole at the top to let out the smoke. The Plains Indians used buffalo hides for their beds and blankets to keep their homes warm. Other Native American homes. plank house, built by the natives in the Northwest near the coast. These homes were made from planks of wood called cedar. Several families would live in a single home. Igloo. Igloos were homes built by the Inuit in Alaska. Igloos are small domed homes made from blocks of ice. They were built to survive the cold winters. Chickie. The Chickie was a home built by the Seminole tribes. The Chickie had a thatched roof to keep the rain off, but it had open sides to keep cool in the hot weather of Florida. Wattle and Daub. This home was similar to the Chickie, but had walls filled in using twigs and clay. It was built by tribes in the northern, slightly colder area of the southeast, like the Cherokee in North Carolina. Pueblo. The Pueblo was a type of home built by American Indians in the Southwest, especially the Hopi tribe. Pueblo homes were built of bricks made from adobe clay. The bricks were made by mixing clay, sand, grass, and straw together, and then setting them in the sun to harden. Fun facts about Native American homes. The honored seat was generally facing the door. The man of the house, or honored guest, would sit in this position. After the 1900s, the Navajo Hogan home was often built using railroad ties. A flap at the top of the wigwam could be opened or shut with a pole. The teepees of medicine men were often decorated with paintings. The fire in an igloo was a large dish filled with animal oil, which was burnt like a candle.